Hello, nerds, and welcome. Eventually, I'm going to come up with an opening that simply doesn't copy Travis's, but here we are. I'm Ryan. I am joined by my fantastic co-hosts, Eric and James, who I'm going to refer to as Bones for the remainder of the segment. We got kind of an exciting show coming up tonight. We're going to be covering a broad spectrum of stuff, including the Xbox Direct Showcase that we just got. But first, we're going to start with some current events, and I'm going to toss the ball over to Bones with some Warhammer news.
Are we talking
for
about Astartes
Astartes 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it just dropped yesterday. The trailer for it dropped yesterday. I don't know if y'all watched the solo level or not solo level, secret level Warhammer episode. I assume both of y'all have seen it. Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
it's part of law. I think it's
Yeah,
something
We
that's
couldn't come on the
mandatory.
show without it.
So yeah, I think that the animation looks like very similar to me, and just the action looks very similar. So looking pretty dope. I love the little clip with the orcs. Actually, that's probably like my favorite part of that trailer.
Yes. So that was an interesting take for me because I'm a big fan of the originals. Obviously, it caught a lot of, I guess, attention or controversy back in the day because it was happening during the Warhammer IP kind of conflicts. But I thought it was kind of cool. My main complaint with the first Astartes series wasn't a real complaint. It was just the fact that they were using a custom Space Marine chapter, right? I believe it was called the Abolishers. I may not be right about that, but I think it was called the Abolishers. But it was one of the best put together pieces of media for Warhammer at the time. I think it was probably the best for a very long time. And to see it getting picked up by GW and turned into something where now we're seeing orcs, we're seeing Tyranids, we're seeing Blood Angels in the trailer. I think that's fantastic news. Unbelievably excited about it.
Yeah, I think it said 2026, so it's a long way off still, I guess, but something to look forward to.
Act like I haven't been excited for stuff for a year before. In fact, we got one of the games on our list tonight that's going to be in a very similar boat. Not quite that bad, but pretty similar. But yeah, so new trailer for Astartes 2. I'm going to pitch it out to all you nerds that are listening. Go watch it. It's really good. I'm very excited. But then we had
everything Warhammer. Thank
Yeah.
God for Space Marines too.
Yeah.
Everything
I mean,
Warhammer.
it sounds stupid to say, but like one game has been. Can you ever think of a game that's been as pivotal to a franchise as Space Marines 2?
Well, and that's an interesting kind of take because I still think Space Marine 1, the original that came out, was an excellent game.
It's because it had orcs.
Right.
I don't know if I'd call it an excellent game. It was a fine game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I caught flack from several people because I probably replayed it 5 or 6 times. And I'm starting to wonder now if it was just because that was the good kind of Warhammer game at the time or not, because truth be told, it was just kind of a Gears of War meets Doom smash and slash. Like, it wasn't particularly special, but it introduced Titus and kind of set the groundwork. But
Yeah,
to
but
see
I
the
don't think it got-
reception,
I think Space Marine 2 is like the equivalent of like Critical Role for D&D.
Yeah.
Right, like it took something that was like well known, like people knew about it, even if it wasn't like that popular. It was well known, and just like shoved it into the spotlight.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I agree. To see the reception that Space Marine 2 is getting when it hit is blowing my mind. It really seems that almost overnight, and again, Space Marine 2 to thank for this, just like y'all are saying, it seems like overnight it went from this niche interest that I've forced all of my friends to enjoy. Suddenly, boom, now everybody knows there's content for it everywhere. It's all over TikTok, it's all over YouTube, it's all over Facebook, and it's an amazing game that people are going back to over and over again that they're actually doing cool stuff with and having cool releases for. And so,
No Vulcan, but yeah. But Astartes
Yeah.
looks good, like the trailer. Hopefully the game lives up to or surpasses the trailer. We've definitely seen lately where sometimes things sort of fall short. But there's one thing we know. Games Workshop likes to make money. So even if the game comes out slightly more expensive than it should, it'll be good. I don't think they'll let us down.
Interesting point on this one, actually. So the Astartes 2 is going to be a video series, I believe.
Yeah,
And because the first one was. And so I'm hoping that.
Isn't it going to be a game?
No. Originally it was just a fan film. It was like a fan series. And then it's gotten picked up. Everything's kind of made official, including the custom Space Marine chapter. But I'm hoping that this has a pretty pivotal little moment in taking all the fans that are now coming into the hobby and coming into the 40K universe because of Space Marine 2, making them aware of, Astartes and the other visual media that GW is producing, because the Warhammer Plus kind of production stuff for things like Hammer and Bolter, Angels of Death, and several other animated series that they have on that. It's fantastic work, and I hope more people get to see it.
And the next
But
big thing
on
would
the
be,
subject of animated,
yeah. So Spider-Man, new show, Disney, totally new take.
yeah, let's just open up the can of worms and spill it all over the table here. So I'm gonna come into it. I purposely kept myself blind. I didn't look at any trailers. I haven't seen anything other than the fact that it existed, and all I know about it is that Eric was upset before the show about Spider-Man. So hit me with what you're talking about, man. Like, what's our deal here?
So I'm not upset. I just think it's a different take. Like it's interesting. They're trying to do something. It seems like they did a good job with it. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. I got to sit down and watch it, but they've literally changed everything and then tied every character into Spider-Man's history.
Yeah.
Beyond popular belief, his mentor has been Norman Osborn before, so I don't know why people are saying it hasn't. He has
Yeah.
definitely mentored Spider-Man in, like, I think the original movie with Tobey Maguire, he was his mentor. So that's
Well,
nothing new, but all the characters are new. The way he gets his powers are kind of changed a little bit. Even the story with Ben is different. So
now is it
they've
indeed
done a
Peter?
lot.
Is it Peter Parker
Yeah,
Spider-Man?
it's Peter Parker. Yep.
Okay. So Bones, let me ask our comic guru here. Norman Osborn's been a key feature and a primary nemesis of Spider-Man for decades at this point. And if I remember correctly, he's frequently seen as being an apprentice or having Norman as a mentor or even working at Oscorp, with one Spider-Man run showing that he actually took Oscorp over. Am I right about
Yeah,
that?
I mean, there's a ton of Spider-Man stories. Period. Right? Like, just there's reboots. Amazing Spider-Man has been rebooted like, I don't know, 7 times or something like that.
There's a reason the Spider-Verse actually exists.
Yeah, so there's a ton of stories. There's probably like everything you can think of, especially with Norman Osborn. He is one of the key characters around Spider-Man stories almost always. Like, Norman Osborn, Connor, Doc Ock.
Yeah.
Like, those are the 3 that, like, they are pivotal to who Spider-Man is as a character almost in every story.
Yeah, and I still haven't seen them do Connors right. Like, I want some lizard action up in here.
There is one in the new show.
I'll have to check it out. Anyway, sorry to
Also,
continue.
which also I'm excited for. He hasn't been in the first 2 episodes. I watched him earlier today, actually. He wasn't in the first 2 episodes. Doc Ock is being voiced by Hugh Dancy, and I'm pretty pumped for that.
No,
Yeah, it's
That
it's
should
an
be
interesting
exciting.
take, though. I think the art is like the animation style is like a little bit weird. I think they're trying to like do this homage to like the Ditko style of art when when he was doing comics, and it's even like the blacks are all highlighted with blue, like they like they used to be like
old school. Okay.
Venom looked blue back in the day because of the way the inks worked. They had to make him blue instead of black.
Yeah, that's why Spider-Man 2099 ended up with the costume he did, is because the blue highlighting got misinterpreted.
So yeah, they're doing that kind of the style of like animation with the look of like a comic book, which I don't know,
Interesting.
like it has me feeling like a certain way. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I don't like it yet. I'm still adjusting to it, maybe.
I think it'll take the first season just to be, because even if I don't enjoy the animation and the story's good enough, I'll stick it out.
Yes, same. And so far, the first 2 episodes have been fine. I mean, they've been Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it is
more
kind of like
Spider-Man, more better.
jam-packed with characters, and I'm like, oh, like that's a hero. That's a hero. That's a hero. That's a villain. That's a hero. That's a villain. Like every character, like is almost somebody from like at least from like the main universe. So I wonder, like, are they going to actually be the characters that they were, or are they just going to be people? I don't know.
Yeah. Which Spider-Man is kind of the Marvel go-to for the extensive rogues gallery, right? He's got one of the most fleshed out rogues galleries that you see throughout the comics and the movies. And so, I don't know, looking at the images, again, I haven't watched anything about it just yet, but I did pull up some images so I can see what you were talking about. And I think it looks neat. It's very, I don't even know how to describe it. Like you said, it's kind of old school. It reminds me of these comics, is what it reminds me
It'll
of.
take a minute to get used to, but like I said, if the story's good, it'll keep you. I like it. Disney, to me, hasn't let me down with Marvel like it has with Star Wars, so I'm always willing to give Disney a chance with that.
I think they're trying a lot harder now too. It seems like they are, like with the Daredevil coming out. Also, Charlie Cox is going to reprise Daredevil in the animated in Spider-Man. Also,
Nice.
Vincent D'Onofrio is going to
Yes,
reprise Kingpin.
Kingpin. Yeah,
So
Oh, that's good.
yeah,
he's been my absolute favorite Kingpin ever. Like even the voices for things like the video games and Marvel's Ultimate Alliance and stuff. It's fine, but Vincent D'Onofrio is the Kingpin to me. I'm so happy that he's picking the role back up. I will be sad when we move on to other casting, which inevitably happens, right? But
I
I'm
think
so excited they're coming back.
the only thing weird about the characters in this for me is that like there are a lot of characters that traditionally have no ties to Spider-Man whatsoever. You have Pearl, who is Wave. She's a Filipino hero that just came from the War of the Realms.
Yeah,
Like I don't know, a couple years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. She came out of that as well as Luna Snow. I think there were some people talking about Luna Snow is going to be on it. Like these characters are pretty new and they have almost nothing to do with Spider-Man usually.
well, and Pearl doesn't even get to New York that often.
Yeah,
That's
I don't think actually. So I don't. She was in Agents of Atlas and the War of the Realms, and I think that's pretty much it. I don't know of any other appearances. Maybe she. She was in Arrow. She did a crossover with the Arrow limited series, which I liked. That was good also. But yeah, and then yeah. So and Nico Minoru is. I mean, I love her character. Normally, I love the Runaways. It's one of my favorites, but traditionally not a Spider-Man thing.
yeah. I do
So
think she's got one of the cooler like spell casting. I don't want to call it a gimmicks that we see in the Marvelverse.
he gets Spider-Man gets his little internship at Oscorp. You know, like everybody knows that by now. He goes to work for Norman, and when he walks in, it's fucking Amadeus Cho, Finesse, and Asha, who is like a Wakandan girl who gets powers as well. So it's like three other people who are pretty much geniuses and also have powers in the Marvel 616 universe. And the scientist that's like teaching them is the Wizard. He's like a villain. He's a Fantastic Four villain in 616.
And not a magic user.
So
Well, it's nice. They're gonna leave themselves a lot of places they can go with it. So they'll have some options and different things like that, like with character development and stories and stuff like that. So I mean, they're playing it smart, and I like it. I like the risks they're taking with having so many characters.
yeah, and you know, like
It'll be good.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm down for whatever. Like I said, me and Eric were talking a little bit earlier, and it's like it's an alternate universe. It's like you get to just do what you want to do, man. Like, and it's
Yep.
fine. Like, it could be bad, but that's like the risk that you're taking, right? Like, if you want to do something new,
Well,
you got to take some risks.
And with multiverse storytelling, I like what it provides more than I like what it threatens, right? I like having everybody to be able to have their own take on the Spider-Man mythos or the Batman mythos or whatever the multiverse happens to be at the time. Spider-Man, I think, is most famous for it, and getting to
Yeah.
watch all of the cool stories that come out of
Well,
it. One of my
I mean-
personal favorites is still Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, or whatever they call her now.
Miles Morales, who's like one of the most popular Spider-Man characters, is Ultimate Spider. Like he came from
Yeah.
Ultimate Spider-Man. He was not a main continuity Spider person.
Spider Person.
Spider-Person.
Before we go on to like the actual Xbox stuff, I totally forgot to bring this up. So on Blue Sky, the Workers Club mentions how Travis likes to wear his belt on his shoulder for the whole episode.
That he does.
I guess he prefers to wear it around his waist, and Travis just wanted me to let you know that he can't wear it around his waist because we would never see it on camera. And he's also in his heel phase currently. So
It's
that
in
is
his
why
heel era.
he wears it on his shoulder for everybody to see. But yeah, so we should definitely jump into the Xbox. It looked good. A little underwhelming to me, just because there wasn't as many titles as I was expecting.
It's a direct. Like it's always a fairly limited run with the Xbox Direct.
Yeah, but there was a big title missing that I was really expecting. Excuse me.
Okay,
I don't know if anybody else noticed. So
Hit me.
for me, the big one missing was Fable.
Okay.
I was really expecting more about that. That was such a huge game on the first I think it was the first Xbox, and they were really talking about it last year. And then for them to have this big event and like, I don't think there was anything about Fable on there. Was a little bit surprising.
I have to admit that now that you bring that up, I can see where you're coming from. Fable was an interesting franchise to me. I was a huge fan of the first two, but I did find that I didn't have an opportunity to play. I believe it was Fable 3, where they were going more like industrial era, right? And the fan base kind of fell off. Like, you didn't hear a lot about Fable or its fans or its community for a very long time. Whereas Fable 1, everybody was talking about it all the time. And so to see Fable coming back and trying to make a big return, I know the fans are going to be excited. I'm excited. I'm definitely going to play it. It is surprising to see that it's not getting more camera time with them trying to pull themselves out of a kind of, I don't know, marketing slump, right? Like they're kind of they're sneaking it in. Oh, did y'all play the original?
Fable? Yes, I played the shit out of Fable. I'm pumped for a new Fable too. I didn't like Fable 3 myself. I just didn't like the
I
gameplay
didn't
as
play
much.
it.
But 1 and 2,
I
yeah,
played
I
it.
love them.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Fable 1 was absolutely amazing. I love Fable 1. I like Fable 2 as well, if I'm being honest. Fable 3, it was moving more industrial, which I think was cool. It gave it a different vibe, though, and deviated from the formula, which I didn't see as a bad thing, but it definitely impacted its success with the fans.
Fable 1 made it cool to be a bad guy.
You
That's
kicking
really, like,
chicker.
at the end of the day, like, there's been a lot of games that let you make choices and do different things, but Fable was the first one, like, where, I don't know, it almost, not good to be a bad guy. It's weird to say it like that, but it made it so it wasn't so evil-esque looking, I guess.
Well, and
And it
they
was great to
painted
have
it.
all the choices.
Yeah, they painted it where your choices had direct, like, not consequence. That's not the right term. Had direct impact. It changed the way your character was not just viewed, but literally how your visuals went. And so you went around, you know, kicking chickens. But yeah, no, I'm excited for another one. It is surprising to see that it wasn't on the direct, but the 4 we did get on the direct are super exciting. So I figure we'll just go in the same order they did, and we're gonna start with one that was very influential with Ninja Gaiden 4. So
Yeah, I'm fucking pumped for that. I cannot wait.
yeah,
I love all of the Ninja Gaiden games. I just found out that I could get Ninja Gaiden 2 Black on PC, so I'm actually like, I'm gonna go pick that up.
see that one. It started off as a weird one for me because it's not really my jam. I don't do ninja games a whole lot. I know somewhere my brother BK is just losing his Timbits, excited for this. He was all about Ninja Gaiden back in the day. For those of you that don't know, it was first released in 1988 under Tecmo, with the original creator being Hideo Yoshizawa. This new iteration of the game, I think, looks really, really good. I think they're really bullseyeing keeping faith to the original material and the original story while revitalizing the gameplay in the extreme. So Bones, I
I
know
think
you
it's
were
cool
excited
that you're
about it.
finally going to play as someone different. I mean, you'll actually end up fighting the old main character. I was surprised they released that piece of information. That's something you'd think they'd want to keep, is like a kind of like a spoiler, like a nice little tidbit at the end for you to see. But yeah, you're actually going to fight him at some point. It doesn't say at the end, but I figure that's probably where you'll take him on. But it is kind of cool. You're going to be a whole new
It's a whole new
protagonist. So
character. I thought it was still Ryu Hayabusa. Is it
nope,
not?
not in 4. You get to play as him at some point, it says.
Mhm.
But the main guy is Yakumo, so
Huh.
it's going to be
Okay.
good.
Exciting. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be, for those of you not familiar with the franchise, it was originally an action platformer ninja
Hack and
game,
slash.
hack and slash. Yeah. It's ventured into a lot of different subgenres from there, including obviously stealth gameplay. The newest one looks like they're dipping their toes into the formulas from things like FromSoft, where you have a hack and slash gameplay, all of the original series for a majority of it, but will have severely tuned bosses that you have to continuously try to defeat, learn movesets, and to memorize in order to bypass. And I think that's going to be a cool mix.
Yeah, it'll be. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I haven't played one in a long time. It was always kind of cool. I am excited because they also have the new abilities and new moves, like the Bloodbath Kill. There's
But
also the Blood Raven form. That
it's like
sounds kind of interesting.
there's so much has changed in video games since the last Ninja Gaiden came out. So it's like, yeah, I'm just excited to see how that is going to influence the gameplay loop for this entry in the series.
And I do think it's smart that they're putting out Ninja Gaiden 2 Black while they're talking about Ninja Gaiden 4 just to get you hyped and everything for Ninja Gaiden. That was pretty much fucking genius, and I usually don't give Xbox a lot of credit for that kind of stuff, but that was a well played move. I don't think they did a whole lot with it. I think it was mostly I think they just upgraded graphics, but I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
100%
just
sure.
like a graphic remaster from what I understand as well. But
And
okay.
something about the villains are harder to kill, but there's fewer of them. I think I read something like that. So it's interesting. Smart moves.
On the subject of smart moves, I wanted to bring this part up. So, all 4 games that were talked about at the Xbox Direct are actually coming on release to Xbox Game Pass. So, for everybody that runs Xbox Game Pass, all of these will be available on release through Game Pass. You can pick them up real easy. I know it's what I'm going to do. So, I think that was a smart move. I don't know how they keep making money from that, but I'm glad they do because I know I'm excited for all 4 of these on the list. Ninja Gaiden was not really my type of thing, but I'm definitely gonna try it now that I have it on Game Pass.
Nerd culture is about collecting, so they know that you're going to buy it regardless.
Yeah, that's
At the
true.
end of the day, that's really what it is. That's how they still make their money, is because not only do you buy the game, but then you play it on Game Pass. I
Throw
mean,
those day one releases.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
All
definitely
right,
what
so yeah,
happens.
I don't do the Game Pass thing, so I'm gonna have to buy whatever I want to play.
there you go. Before we move on to the next game, guys, I am going to do our shameless plug here. We would really appreciate if you go through and do all that fun algorithm stuff, even if you leave us muted in the background. Give us a like, give us a comment, engage with us. And more importantly, as we go through each of these games that was talked about on Xbox Direct, we want to hear your opinions. We want to get your feedback. And if you have something particularly poignant or, in some cases, particularly insulting to one of our co hosts, we'll feature it on the next episode. So give us a like, give us a comment, and tell us what you thought about the Xbox Direct show. So yeah, Ninja Gaiden 4. Let's go ahead and move on to one that I know is probably the one I'm most excited about out of all the 4. It's my top pick from the ones from Direct. I'm unbelievably excited about this game, South of Midnight. So, South of Midnight, I do want to cover one thing for Ninja Gaiden 4 before we move into it. I forgot it until just now. It's releasing in fall of 2025, so we'll probably see that one around October. South of Midnight, however, slotted for April 8th, coming out very, very soon, and looks amazing. This is one of those games that I almost play because it's art more than it is any kind of story. So South of Midnight, guys, you take on the role of a young woman traveling through a great deal of southern kind of bayou folk. I'm using a lot of very famous icons and things from folklore from Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, all through the kind of southern Appalachian Mountain area, and I am so excited for it. It's got a great mix of unique and beautiful visuals, unique and beautiful monster and character design, while still drawing inspiration from the original stories. I am so excited.
Yeah, I'm also a pretty big fan of like the Southern Gothic like folklore. I'm actually pretty excited for that. Normally, I don't think this would be a game that I would necessarily be excited for, but just because of the setting, I think it'll be pretty cool.
I know one of the things that jumped out at me when I was first looking at it is it's so a game like this, when you're telling a story like this, your story is going to be what carries you through, and your visuals have to be the wheels that the wagon's rolling on, right? And I think that they really crushed that. But they made an interesting choice in the way that they're animating this. So they're setting it up with this very strange, I almost want to call it a frame rate, but it's not. It's like they're digitally stop motion animating this game.
So the animation kind of reminds me of some of the storytelling games that have come out, where you kind of click through just story. There's no real movement and stuff like that.
Visual novel kind of thing.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. So I'll be curious to see how it works. I'm gonna guess it's not a visual novel, obviously,
No,
but
it is not.
it definitely gives you the look of it just looking at the graphics with it. And there's nothing wrong. To each their own. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I can kind of deal with it if the game's good. If you have a good story, I will always bite. It doesn't matter what it looks like or what it plays like. If your story's good, I want to see the end.
Well, and I
It,
think it's interesting to watch them mix this stop motion animation style with what is very fast gameplay mechanics. Like the combat in the game is done with very simple tools using a weaver and kind of thread and needle aesthetic that leads to a very acrobatic, very dodgy, fast-paced kind of
Yeah, I mean
gameplay.
it's a pretty I feel like the gameplay, the mechanics look pretty standard for just like your third person action adventure game. as far as that goes. I mean, again, I haven't played it, and I haven't seen that much of the gameplay, just that small little trailer. So maybe there's some more in-depth mechanics or something more interesting than just a standard kind of third-person
Mhm.
action adventure game. But I mean, even if it is, I like those games and I like the setting, so I'm gonna be picking it up.
Yeah. Well, and I know that Compulsion Games, they've made a lot of really good games that I enjoyed, not the least of which was We Happy Few. Absolutely love
Yeah,
We
that's
Happy
good.
Few. So I'm going to be jumping on this one real fast. And so moving on to the next one, also releasing in April. This one releasing April 24th is going to be Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Now, Expedition 33 looks like it's going to be an extremely visually driven game, but it deviates from the others on this list because it's actually a turn-based kind of RPG that was developed for a fantasy 19th century France story. Lots of wooden poppet and kind of wooden toy imagery, and the use of color and the way that they design the game is very it's cool to me. It's unique. It adds a lot of character to it. And for that to be following a formula that we generally see with things like JRPGs, where it's turn-based combat and leveling up your characters and taking builds together, I think it's going to be kind of a cool take. I know what caught my attention is that visually, it's something that you don't see very often. It kind of reminds me of Plague Tale a little bit in the way that they have everything kind of set up, and their character design, their level up system is kind of freeform, where you have over 20 different perks and level ups that you can get for your characters, and hundreds of different small passive effects that you can add that they call Lumina. And so it leads to lots and lots of different kind of builds and gameplay stuff where you can develop your team in a very unique way, and I'm very excited about
Yeah, I'm a big fan of turn-based. I'm a big fan of JRPGs. Also, all the Final Fantasy games I have enjoyed to some extent, some more than others. I like the aesthetic. I like turn-based combat. I That is going to be a buy for me.
it. Yeah. Well, and just like in any good RPG, obviously it's going to ride on its story, and the story they have put together for this one, I think, is very compelling, with the titanic kaiju magic creature out there writing a mysterious number on a rock, and everybody older than that number dies off. So everybody that's about to get killed off joins these expeditions, and this, of course, is Expedition 33, to go out and try to stop this kaiju witch from killing everybody very slowly. I think it's compelling. I love the fact that their character designs, when you look at them, are not done up to be superheroes. These are very flawed, very human characters that struggle, and I'm looking forward to that.
Well, just one thing, Ryan, just so you know, it kills the age that matches the rock. So if it's 1, it kills 1. If it's 2, it kills 2.
Well, but she's been moving backwards, and according to the trailer or the dev interview, it's everybody older than the number on the rock. And so if it's a 33, it's everybody that's older than 33. And then she's been working backwards to where now this is number 33, Expedition 33. Now, I'm not
Okay.
100%. Obviously, I haven't played the game, guys.
Yeah, I was
And
just
there is,
looking at it on IGN.
yeah. Don't know exactly how it's going to work. We'll have to pick up the game and pick it up. But I think this one is definitely going to be a buy for me. It looks really good. I love that kind of storytelling. And it's been a long time since I've had a really good turn-based RPG that snagged me like that. So,
I'm
super
excited
stoked.
because of the fact that every year in the game, the world completely changes.
Indeed.
That's kind of cool. They call it repaints. That's pretty neat. Oh, so it'll have like a new twist to it every year. I mean, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm not usually the biggest turn guy. I was a huge Final Fantasy Tactics person in the Final Fantasy games, but that was a while ago.
And in general, when you see a game like this, you get kind of a one and done kind of gameplay, right? Like you might go through and replay it simply to try a different team build or explore different areas. This one has two distinct elements to it that stand out to me that break that mold. First is that they have a full world map and encourage you to go out and explore, find the hardest bosses, and it's got a very like Elden Ring, again, FromSoft style vibe to it, where you have to do certain things in the open world in order to trigger certain events, which leads to a lot of, if not repeat gameplay, a lot of extended gameplay. It makes me think it's very much going to lean on the your choices matter aspects, where you chose this last time, so now you don't get to explore any of this or do any of this side of that storyline. Again, replay value. And if they are setting it up to be replayable enough where they are planning years for the game, not just years in game, but different things to be released for the game and to enter a gameplay loop that can be replayed and have a fair amount of DLC or replayability. I'll be excited to see how they handle that. They're definitely taking an approach that you don't see very often with games like this, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the setting looks cool too. I'm just like, yeah, I'm excited, and the reactive turn based. I'm excited to see how that actually plays out,
Yeah,
being a
that's a little
change
different.
on the typical turn based mechanics. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to play that just in general. Before we jump into the next one, I actually something was brought to my attention about a game that nobody knows about because it was flopped so bad. It was published by Bandai Namco last year, at the end of last year, called Unknown Nine Awakening. Uh, yeah, no, it was like Concord level of flop, is how bad it
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
was.
gotta
never,
be. I've never heard it.
never
Yeah,
even heard of this.
man, it looked cool. Ryan, like you would have liked. It's all about like spirit stuff, like jumping into people's bodies, like ripping their souls out. But I guess it's
The
just
poster
absolutely cool.
has a spirit witch girl in steampunk clothing with an airship in the background. How did I not hear about this game?
Yeah, I saw some people talking about it recently. It's got like a 49% rating on Steam right now.
Have we checked out any of the reviews? Why are people hating on it?
Well, it's everything's bad about it. Like it's the story's bland, the AI is bad, like just everything is just not good.
Rough.
Like
Okay.
yeah, apparently I guess I don't know. I missed it whenever people were talking about it. I guess people were kind of excited about it, and then it was just like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, this didn't even register as a blip on the Crossing the Nerdverse radar. I did not know this game existed. Eric, did you know about this?
No, not a clue.
Didn't even ping our radar. That's wild. Okay. Unknown Nine Awakening.
I just want to bring that up.
Huh.
It's just like it's so wild. I mean, Bandai Namco is not a small publisher, right? Like
Yeah, that's a big. That's
to have a game that just like flopped
Man.
that bad.
2024 was just the year of flops. What is
Well, I
going
think
on?
the biggest thing is they don't want the game to come out like if they can avoid it. So they were smart in the sense of they didn't want it to get too popular, I guess, because I really didn't hear anything about this. So, and obviously, I don't know if it was marketing or what, but something happened and it was not very good.
Well, with that, guys, we're going to get into the last game. We are pushing our time. So I know this is the one the vast majority of our fans are excited about. This is the one Eric is most excited about. This is the one that is catching everybody's attention. And that, of course, is going to be Doom the Dark Ages. Now, there's so much I want to talk about with this game, but I'm going to open up by simply saying that originally I was not very enthusiastic about this game. I played Doom 2016, let the other ones go by, never even played Doom Eternal, and I was like, it's just another Doom game. They're just going to copy paste and keep milking the cow. Man, I was wrong. Eric.
Dude, this is a game with a medieval setting where you get to ride a dragon and also pilot a mech.
Yeah.
Like, it's the fucking greatest combination in history.
Yeah.
You get to ride a dragon and pilot a mech?
I agree with you. After
And it
listening
has
to
the
the dev
single
interviews,
greatest new melee weapon in history?
Yeah.
The fucking shield?
all right, so the way the devs put this, I think, was the most poetic way to talk about anything in Doom, and it's going to prep you for everything else going forward in Doom of Dark Ages. So everybody that's listening, the game is based around a new weapon that you'll be carrying. Now, to preface, this is a prequel. This is a prequel to Doom 2016, so bear that in mind as we continue going forward. But it is based around the Saw Shield, which is effectively Captain America's shield if it was a chainsword from 40K. It's so wild. Now, the reason that they're having this as a main weapon that you're going to have with you for the whole game is because they are changing the way that the Doom Slayer, or Doom Guy as the rest of us call him, functions in order to capture a new feel of the game. Now, in Doom 2016 and in Doom Eternal, you were very acrobatic. They had a very aerial style of gameplay, high jumping, lots of lashing, pulling, movement shenanigans, and they described it where in Doom 2016 you were effectively a fighter jet going up against hell. That is not the case in Doom Dark Ages. In Doom Dark Ages, you are a heavily armored tank that instead of jumping around or jumping, shooting, or setting traps or being acrobatic or aerial, you are walking into the enemy, taking their fire, and laying waste. That sounds awesome to me.
I mean, man, I think id Software is one of the best game developers to grace the face of Earth. Like all the
Absolutely
Doom
agree.
games are good. All of the Quake games were good. Wolfenstein was good.
Yep.
What else?
I mean, they've been making games for over 30 years and have never put out anything that I call like a true flop. And so, yeah, I love it. It's great.
Yeah, Rage 2. They did Rage and Rage 2, and I think those are probably the closest to like not good. And I still enjoyed both
Yeah.
of those. So
I thought they were great.
I mean, I don't
They
think
definitely,
they were definitely entertaining, at least.
yeah. Well, id Software definitely specializes in over the top gameplay. And I'm going to say over the top storytelling. That's really not the selling point for any of the games.
Did they do Duke Nukem?
Did they do Nukem?
No, I don't.
I don't think so.
So.
I could be wrong. I'll
Who
check it real
did
quick.
Duke Nukem?
I don't think they did. Now that I think about it, I think that came out as like a combatant to Doom.
It
Company
was developed
Apogee
by
Software.
Gearbox, 3D Realms, and Gearbox. So yeah, but yeah, Doom Dark Ages. So instead of this high
Oh, yeah, 3D
flying,
Realms.
do crazy jumps and what that kind of thing, you instead are playing a heavily armored, effectively cybernetic knight in medieval times. And one of the selling points to me, I think, the demon design's great. Like, it's super cool. I loved the weapon design and the character design for Doomslayer in Doom the Dark Ages. I love the fur cape on the power armor aspect. I love the saw shield. And some of the weapons that we got to see in the trailer and the previews, I think were amazing. An automatic shotgun that actually flings out fragmented portions of sinners' skulls as ammunition is wild to me. The blessed railroad spike launcher, I think, is super cool. Yeah.
Just a quick correction. 3D Realms, which was not 3D Realms at the time, is who made Duke Nukem. Gearbox did not acquire the rights to Duke Nukem until 2010. They did the remake, which was not
Good catch. Good
nearly
catch.
as good.
No, of course not. Can't beat
Good
originals.
catch.
The original was so good. Man, I was way too young to be playing that game,
Yeah.
but like
I was way young.
my stepbrother had it on his computer, and he was like significantly older than me, and he was like letting me play, like Duke Nukem 3D and Doom, just like a little like 6 or 7 year old like on a Mac, like yeah, I was fucking kill some people.
And I used to
It's
play.
exciting.
I played Doom and I played Wolfenstein both, hanging out with our buddy Taylor, who was the preacher's kid. So I'd go over to our preacher's house to play Doom and Wolfenstein
You should be like,
with
hey, I'm
Taylor.
killing demons, doing the Lord's work.
And Nazis.
Doing the Lord's work, killing
Demons
demons and
and
Nazis.
Nazis.
Damn good deal. Anyway, so yeah, I think the weapon design's cool. Level designs are just as beautiful as you would expect. I think the character designs are definitely a step up from any other Doom game that I've ever played. Visually, it's absolutely stunning. Weapon designs are fantastic. I'd say at least on par with Doom Eternal and Doom 2016. And as Eric kind of prefaced with, we have two additions to the game that really stand out to me. And then, of course, I'm going to start with the dragon, because I know everybody's stoked about the mech, but I like the dragon. And so when they were talking about it, they have your cybernetic dragon that has several machine guns and rocket launchers and whatnot mounted to it, that you fly around and kill demons with your dragon. And they made a point of saying this is not a one and done mechanic. You'll be able to use this, upgrade this, and tailor it for different kinds of things throughout the game. And I think that is bold. I am so excited to have my Doom Dragon.
Yeah, I like the aesthetic of it. It's very like Helldrake like, and I'm all for that.
I'm curious, is it going to be like vehicles in a sense, like the dragon and the mech? Are they going to be used like at certain points, just like vehicle mode, or how are they going to do it? That's what I'd like to see, because I like Doom because it's a pointless shooter that I just run around and shoot stuff, but usually they either swarm you with enough or they tactics or something to make the game kind of interesting. I want to see what they're going to use to combat dragons and mechs. And will it be tactics, or will it be just bigger fucking bad guys?
Yeah, who knows on that front.
Bigger,
So if I was
badder
going to
hordes.
make yeah,
That's my
if I was
prediction.
going to make a guess, I'm going to say that probably 80% of the game's on foot. Duh, it's Doom, right? I'm going to say the dragon's going to get used a lot more frequently than the mech, and frequently it's going to be transitioning stages, right? And so it's like, okay, I took, you know, the graveyard. Now I need to go through this blasted realm where there's not really roads or anywhere to go. So I'm going to get on my dragon. I'm going to fight a bunch of stuff on my dragon in order to get to the next zone, and then I'm going to take, the whatever, the village or the church or whatever. And I bet you the mech. They assured that the mech was not a one and done thing, that you're going to be using it and have a chance to upgrade it, including putting different weapons on it and continuing to upgrade it throughout the game. So I expect it to be something that's used in a boss fight, right? Where you finish this boss and it moves into boss stage 2, where it's Power Ranger theory, right?
It might be like a limited time like weapon kind of thing too, where you just call down a mech and you have it until battery runs out or something too.
Yeah, that could make sense. I could see them doing that. I know one of my favorite visuals that I saw in the game. So the shield saw that we talked about earlier, is the dominant weapon in the game. It's the one that's going to get the most attention and that you should focus on the most. And I think they spent a lot of time making sure that it was a lot of fun. It's got a system in your armor that is either magnetic or magic or somewhere in between that lets you call it back to you and use it as a thrown weapon or whatever. And in that kind of trailer setup, he's got it on his back and he just holds out his arm and activates it, and you watch the shield slide from his back onto his arm as it snaps into place. It was a beautiful aesthetic, just really cool snippet, you know, 3/4 of a second scene, and I'm going to forever describe stuff in D&D as often as I can exactly like that scene. I thought it was super cool, and I definitely want to recreate that somehow in Dungeons and Dragons really, really bad.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. I already figured out a way to do it. I'm gonna have to be a rogue because I'm gonna do it yo-yo style. I'm gonna hook all these blades to like rope somehow, and as you throw it, you pull the rope, kind of like a yo-yo, and see what I can do with it. I don't know. I'll figure this out.
Now, see, here's
But I
the
want to
easy
do.
answer. I'm going to do it as a paladin, and every time I use a smite ability of some kind, it's not going to be this big magical flash of light. It's going to be my chainsaw blades coming out.
There's a way to. There's a way.
Yeah. That's Doom: The Dark Ages, definitely the highlight of the Xbox Direct. So we have those 4 games coming out. Additionally, before I move on, because I keep reading through this, Doom: The Dark Ages, again, coming straight to Xbox Game Pass for those of us that have it and use it, and is being released May 15th. So not that long. We can just hold on to our butts for a little while longer before Doom gets here.
Just everybody remember dates aren't always exactly.
Yeah,
it,
it's
so
slotted for that, but yeah.
yeah,
The last thing I
especially
want to do is hurry any of these games.
especially with a game like Doom, I could see it always getting pushed if something happens. Again, I mean, I loved some of the games they showed, but man, Xbox, no Fable, nothing with Halo,
Yeah, we got
nothing with Gears of War. They were talking about doing stuff
Yeah,
with.
I think it's supposed to be another Gears coming sometime soon.
So I'm very surprised. I'm happy with some of what they showed, but
yeah,
it is
I mean
it is very surprising.
it is just like the Xbox Direct though.
yeah. It's
They're
just a
probably saving
small
some of
one.
the other stuff for some of the bigger shows.
Well, I know we'll have the big one in June. That's was it E3? In June, we'll have a lot of cool stuff. I think the reason, in particular, South of Midnight, Expedition 33, and Doom Dark Ages got the attention is because they are slotted for Q1
Right.
and early Q2, and so I think that's probably why they're getting the attention now. And the rest of the big releases for the end of the year, come holiday season, will be really extolled on E3 come June.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with that assessment. I think the most of our things that so Doom is one thing that like people was really excited about. I mean, who really knew about the other games before Xbox Direct? Even though they're coming out like right around the corner, I didn't know about them until then.
Yeah, so
And
that
so
was actually an interesting one for me as well, because South of Midnight is one that I've been keeping an eye on. It was talked about, I believe, at the last E3, but the other ones, Claire Obscure, I didn't know about, had no clue. So I agree.
and then they just released Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, so they want to like try to drum up the hype for the new Ninja Gaiden. before that comes out. I think that's why they probably threw that in there as well.
Yes, I would have liked to have seen at least something, one of the big titles. So I don't know. Like you said, it's just direct, so it works out.
Rumor
They'll have
has
it.
it.
They'll have it later in the year.
Rumor has it we might have another Nintendo Direct next month.
Yeah, I did see that as early as next week we could have a Nintendo Direct, which is going to be interesting because that means they would be slotted for 2 Directs this year. And Nintendo,
This
I
one
mean,
will
I know they got a
be
bunch of big stuff coming.
This one will almost certainly be about the Switch 2. Let's
Switch
be
2,
honest.
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
Well, and
They're
that's why they're going to have 2 of them, right? Is because they're really going to put all their eggs on the Switch 2 release, which is going to do exceedingly well. Obviously, the Switch is a very, very popular system. Switch 2 is supposed to be even better, and so I can
it's
see it.
just graphics, performance will be a bit better. The system looks the same to me. I'm not running out to get it.
Well, but they're
That's going to
being
be
very
for
smart
sure.
with their marketing because their marketing department, if they didn't do this deliberately, then they accidentally struck gold because they turned the entire Switch 2 release trailer into a giant meme to the point where nearly the entire fan base is talking about how ASMR the thing is with the pops and the clicks and the drag outs, and how the entire Switch 2 thing is done up as being this extremely sleek, curvy, and sexy device without ever actually saying those words. And so it has gotten a lot of attention amongst the fan bases for becoming an internet meme and becoming an overly sexualized thing. And so it's getting attention more than the Switch did. I would not be surprised if we didn't see the Switch 2 do exceptionally well. So yeah, before we come to a close, guys, I know we're running a little on time, but I want to talk to you guys. We had 4 games coming out of Direct between Ninja Gaiden 4, South of Midnight, Clair Obscure Expedition 33, and Doom Dark Ages. I mean, I feel like it's an obvious answer, but does anybody have any particular favorites or ones that you were most excited about?
I mean, mine would be just the Doom, just because I was never a huge Ninja Gaiden guy. I didn't hate it or anything like that. Like it was never a game I ran to. And then the other 2, I might try them out. I don't got a lot of free time, so I don't experiment too much with the smaller titles.
So you hold your pinky out when you drink your tea there? The smaller
It,
titles.
but it's true though. Like you only have so much time in the day between
That's
like
true. Yeah.
the schooling I'm doing now, and then this, and then work, and my
Yeah.
kids' activities. Like when I get game time, I want to know it's good. And there's not a lot of games I know are good. NHL 25 online, you're good.
Yeah, I talk a big game like I'm going to buy those games, and I want to, but I'm still pushing ranks on TFT. That takes up most of my free time. If I'm not working, I'm not doing school. Those things. I'm pretty much playing TFT. So we'll see. Maybe I'll buy them next year.
Right. Well, I'm in a position right now where I do use Game Pass. I've used Game Pass for a very long time now. It's one of my favorite things that Microsoft has done. And so I'll definitely be giving each of them a try. And while Doom the Dark Ages definitely gets the hype award, in my opinion, I think it's got the largest group coming out. I'm excited for South of Midnight. I think it's going to be one of the most unique visual experiences ever. I'm a big fan of Compulsion. And Eric, I got to take kind of an opposite approach to you because I am far more prone to go for a smaller title or an indie than I am a lot of the games that we've seen released as big. What was the joke Travis used last week? The quadruple A titles. So yeah. Anyway, guys, we are coming up on the end of our show. I do want to.
We got one more.
What do we got?
This is the Warhammer question of the week. So I pulled this off of Facebook. So we all know there's no good guys in K, but which faction is most evil? Now I got this off of the Imperium of Man Facebook group, and Andrew Johnson posted it. I just kind of clipped it up. Hope he doesn't mind if he ever sees this. But what do you consider the most evil faction?
We got to
We got to
eliminate
sit here and do
two right off the bat. Like it's not orcs and it's not Tyranids because they're just basically forces of nature. They're not really evil. They're not. They're just there. They're
don't
just doing
have
their thing.
sentient thought.
Yeah.
They don't have morals, and we got to do the Socrates shit of like, for the purpose of our argument, what exactly is evil? Yeah, but I
Well,
agree with you,
everything
Bones.
is in 40K.
Yeah, you
So
can't look at the Tyranids. You can't look at the orcs.
I mean, well, you could do pick Space Marines or Chaos Marines. Like, what's the most evil faction? Like out of them, you
Well,
can go that route. It'd probably be easier than picking a whole faction.
there's a couple different ways that you could look at it. I think that some of the sleeper ones that are far more evil than people give them credit for is going to be the Leagues of Votan. Somebody that can perform that kind of atrocity on that many people with such a lack of empathy just for the sake of gathering currency and wealth. Yeah, that's pretty evil. But when it comes to like the big four and you start looking at chaos and stuff, I think Slanesh has probably got the most evil in my mind because it's pointless. It's hedonism and excess and torture for the sake of torture. At least the other ones could be deluded into thinking they're going one way or the other to a certain extent. That's a difficult question. Yeah, I'm definitely, as far as amongst the big four, I think Slanesh has got the blackest heart. As far as factions go, I don't know. It's hard to just discount the Imperium of Man as being the most evil. They're expansionistic in the same way that everybody else is, more extreme than most. They are focused on the total genocide of every species other than humans in the galaxy, and they do it all for a pseudo-religious belief that drives them to kill as many humans amongst humans as they kill other people.
I'll tell you this. I think the most evil, certainly most heartless of the Primarchs is got to be Ferrus Manus. He has like complete disregard for
Yeah.
mortal like human life.
Angron's pretty messed up too.
Angron's
Yeah, but
lobotomized.
Angron's tortured.
He has no.
Yeah.
He's also just a force of nature at this point.
It's kind of looking at Khorne itself, right? Like, Angron never had a choice. He doesn't. There's no fixing Angron. He can't help
Actually, and saying that, actually, I don't even know if I would consider like the Chaos demons themselves to be evil because they're also just kind of forces of nature. Like they're like like one is just chaos, like just a battle, like bloodlust. It exists because that exists, right? Slanesh exists because hedonism exists. Slanesh wasn't there before a certain group of elves decided to just fuck all the time.
I mean, that's valid.
That is
but
true.
I pick still Angron.
Necrons. That's the fucking most evil faction.
Necrons. Okay. So
Okay, there you go.
there might be something to the Necrons because they have the same problems as the Imperium of Man with less empathy. That's interesting. That and they enslaved
Necrons
their
it is.
entire race for fun because
I'm
they
still
felt
going
like they were.
Angron though for Primarchs.
Now, even amongst the Primarchs, Angron, like, yeah, he's a problem, but I actually feel bad for him more than I think that he's evil. It's kind of like Kurz. I really don't blame Conrad Kurz for the way he ended up either.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way that he ended up. Several other ones were designed to be certain ways. Things like Layman Russ, Vulcan, Alfarius, they were designed to be the way they are. They never really had a choice in that. Even when it's on the good side, where you look at Vulcan, who has a lot of empathy and care for the common man and, sense of community, that was programmed into him. And so then you have to start looking at things like Fulgrim and Lorgar.
Or it's Lorgar. It's Lorgar. Fulgrim was tricked too. He was, seduced by Slanesh with the blade, whatever it's called. I can't remember what it's called.
Silver something?
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. Lorgar was like, yeah, I can be chaos. That's fine. Let's do it.
Yeah. Lorgar was. It's always going to be a problem. You've heard me bitch about Lorgar 1,000 times. The problem with 40k will always be Lorgar.
He was born. That's what it was. At the end of the day, he was born. On a real note, it's the Emperor's fault. Like, at the end of the day, all this is the Emperor's fault.
The Emperor. The Emperor is the most evil.
He neglected his children, and this is what it led to. He picked a favorite. You never pick a favorite kid. You pick a favorite kid, it's proven.
Yeah.
Your other kids get all fucked up.
You got to remember, he never viewed any of them as his children. He called them that in order to develop a sense of loyalty, but he never viewed any of them as progeny.
They were psychologically controlled them, which makes it so much worse.
It makes it worse, yeah.
The Emperor's the biggest villain, the evil faction in DK. The
Emperor is just somebody that learned how to steal a whole bunch of power from the Chaos Gods, use that psychic power to create demigods, and use them to take over the galaxy. It's kind of hard to defend his position. But in any case, guys, we are pushing along on time. We had the Warhammer question today. We're going to keep this up. I want to remind you all that through the month of February, we will be approaching Warhammer 40k again. We have a wide range of stuff we're going to be covering, but more than ever, we want to hear from you. We want to hear what topics you want talked about and what things you want brought up on the coming shows.
So we do have next week's episode picked out. We're going to do, with the release of Fulgrim and stuff like that, we'll do a little bit on it's Emperor's Children, right? Not crazy. Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about. We're not going to do too much on history and lore with them. We're going to talk about them. Talk a little bit about Fulgrim, the new models, maybe some paint schemes, like the different paints that you can use with it, stuff like that. We'll throw a list. Obviously, we're not going to paint anything because we don't have them, and we're not a painting show. But we'll talk about it. Definitely the models, a little bit of lore. Just kind of get people's opinions if we can during the week, and then kind of add them to the show next week, and then kind of give our take with the new models coming out. Because I have seen some people talking about it; they're not overly excited about the new models. Everyone loves the new Fulgrim. Don't get me wrong, but I have seen some comments in regards to the actual models for the Emperor's Children. People aren't excited; they're not different or unique enough, I guess.
Yeah, the sculpts
So,
are definitely catching a lot of controversy, which is always the case when you get new sculpts. But yeah, we are going to be talking a little bit about lore, a little bit about mechanics, probably a lot of it about lore, if we're being honest. And so we want to hear from you. We want to get your opinions. So if you've listened this far into the show, guys, obviously you like what you hear. Do all the fun algorithm stuff. Give us a like, give us a comment, tell us what you want to hear about in Warhammer 40K. And give us your opinions about what we talked about tonight. Give us opinions about Xbox Direct, the 4 games that are coming out, and most importantly, what game is coming out that you are most excited about. Just as a reminder, guys, we still have some sweet, sweet merch for sale while we still have supplies. It's all in our link tree. We got some cool stuff like this cup, like many of the hoodies and shirts that you see on the show. Give it a link, or give it a click. Check out the link. It's good stuff. And with that, we're going to go ahead and bring this episode up on the Xbox Direct expose to a close. I've been Ryan. This has been a lot of fun, and we'll see you guys next time.